Hey everyone, I'm Pat Mayo filling in for Mike Cardano, and this is the Week 9 Market Share Report. Every week we'll review the previous week's action on the field, and we'll highlight the wide receivers who earned the most targets, the running backs who got the most carries, and which players saw the most chances to score inside the red zone. We'll also use the metric market share to identify which players are getting the highest percentage of their team's play calling. A target's simply a pass thrown in the direction of a receiver. Since receivers are dependent on their quarterbacks to score points, targets are essential to fantasy success. We've also included market share targets, which is the percentage of team targets a player receives and how many DraftKings points they scored this weekend. Again, the target leaderboard is filled with the top scorers at the receiver position this week. 12 of the 22 receiving options to earn at least 10 targets scored 20 or more DraftKings points. Antonio Brown and Mike Evans led the scoring at wide receiver with 34.4 points. Brown outpaced Evans in targets 16-11, but Evans found the end zone twice to close the gap. Meanwhile, there were only 3 wide receivers that saw double-digit targets but failed to score double-digit points. Kelvin Benjamin was the biggest disappointment on Thursday night with less than 4 points, while Des Bryant and Ruben Randle also failed to produce. A total of 22 players saw at least 10 targets this week, with an average score of 21 DraftKings points. Once again, if you were able to correctly identify players receiving double-digit targets, you had a great chance at recouping value. Mark Ingram was the workhorse back this week, getting 30 carries and turning the big workload into 27 DraftKings points. Jeremy Hill and Marshawn Lynch were the top RB scorers of the week, as each eclipsed 20 carries and found the end zone 2 times. Trey Mason was the only running back to get at least 15 carries and failed to score double digits, but Mason had a tough matchup against a stout 49ers run defense and didn't really contribute in the passing game. We always harp on the risk that running backs that don't catch passes present, but this week, Alfred Morris found the end zone twice and turned his minuscule price tag into 25 DraftKings points. DeMarco Murray was the biggest disappointment, seeing 19 carries, but Brandon Whedon dragged the entire Cowboys offense down with him, and Murray only scored 13 DraftKings points. In total, just 13 running backs saw at least 15 carries in Week 9. This continues the trend of timeshare running backs in the NFL and places a far bigger premium on predicting the opportunities. The final leaderboard we're going to show you this week is one we use to evaluate which players are seeing the most opportunities in the red zone. This week's leaderboard was filled with disappointments, as running backs failed to convert their opportunities into touchdown. Mark Ingram led the way with 10 red zone opportunities and converted 2 of them into touchdowns. Ronnie Hillman, Alfred Morris, Matt Asiata, and Marshawn Lynch all joined Ingram with at least 2 touchdowns. Now, the Dolphins spent the entire game in the Chargers' red zone, and 4 different Dolphins players earned at least 4 red zone opportunities. But among them, only 2 scored touchdowns. And it's hard to call reserve RBs disappointments, but they represent a majority of the single-digit scorers. If you were able to predict red zone opportunities, you had a nice head start on your competition. Head over to rotoexperts.com and sign up for the weekly fantasy football package. Experts Drew Dinkmeyer and Mike Leone prep you each week with strategy articles, site-specific cheat sheets, and recommendations that highlight the top value plays each week. They also send updated injury information straight to your inbox, along with our lineup alerts feature. Become a member of the Daily Fantasy Rundown team at rotoexperts.com by signing up for the weekly fantasy football package.